everyone, Katie with Yuma Territorial Promotions with you today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about guerrilla marketing and why it's important in today's economic times. Basically, what is guerrilla marketing? It is innovative ways to get your message out to the people. We're talking, it can be as simple as handing out flyers. It can be as complicated as, getting pilots to skywrite your message across the sky. But basically, it's just people-to-people contact and getting your message to your customers. Going back, looking at what we normally use now, if you have a small business, medium business, large business, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of the same thing. You're looking at how you advertise now. And a lot of times you're thinking radio, you're thinking TV, newspaper, and billboards. Those are your four major ones. Let's take a little bit of a look at that right now. Let's start with radio. In my opinion, it's probably one of the most effective of the four, as people tend to be stuck listening to the commercials while they're sitting in the car, but still there are some downsides. A lot of people have XM radio now, or they're running their phone via Bluetooth through their radio, their car stereo, so they're either talking on the phone or they are listening to their own music at the same time, so it does lose some effectiveness. Also, people tend to either change the channel or tune out the commercials. Think about it. What's the last radio commercial you heard? Do you even remember? So, it's one of those things. It does tend to lose effectiveness. We as people have become so accustomed to tuning out the commercials because we're so bombarded with everything that is commercial related and, mass marketed. But besides that, it's probably one of the more effective because most people still do listen to radio, but at the same time you do lose some effectiveness thanks to CD players and that sort of thing. Next is going to be television. If you advertise on your local television, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying it does tend to lose its effectiveness, especially with today's technology. Most people use satellite television, or they do have local cable and watch the local channels, but they do what I do. They record what shows they want on their DVR. You probably do this too. Think about it. They record their shows onto their DVR, and then they get to watch it whenever the heck they want to, and fast forward through the commercials. I can't remember the last time I watched a TV commercial. After that, we're looking at the newspaper. There are some devout newspaper readers out there who will still actually physically open up a newspaper and actually read it, but they're not looking at the ads. They're looking at the headlines, they're looking at the sports section, business section, comics. They're not actually looking at the ads. If you ask any person who's read the newspaper recently, they're not going to be able to tell you what ads were in it unless it replaced the front headline for some reason, which that's never going to happen. Also, the downside is all of our news is also online now, and that's how most people read their news. So there are some online ad space available with your local online newspaper. It is somewhat effective, but at the same time, people have gotten so numb to online marketing and that sort of thing that they kind of ignore it. Last, we have billboards. Now, they're big, they're bright, they're all sorts of fun colors. Sometimes they catch your eye, but the problem is your impression on that person is a fraction of a second as they drive by. Number one, you're distracting them from driving, honestly. But number two, there's usually too much information on that billboard for them to really retain it. A lot of billboards have their company message, their logo, what they do, and their phone number or a website. Most drivers aren't going to take the time to write it down or make a note so that they remember it for later. By the time they've gotten to their destination, they've completely forgotten it. So billboards are very expensive as well. So if you do billboards, do something simple. I use billboards mainly for events that are coming up, not as a long-term advertising plan. If I have a trade show at the end of the month, then I'll rent a billboard for the month and I'll just put, trade show, this date, and with the location, and I don't put anything else on it because anything more just clutters it up. But those are your four traditional. We have radio, TV, newspaper, and billboards. They're great. I'm not saying don't advertise with them. Please don't misconstrue what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that it has lost its effectiveness because as we get bombarded with more and more different types of marketing, we have become numb, essentially, to these things. It makes it more difficult when you're trying to get your name out there to do whatever it is you do, whether you're small business or you're a service company or whatever. It makes it much harder. This is why guerrilla marketing is more important. I'm going to do more videos later expressing exactly the different types that you could use in your business that would probably help you out. Your cheapest, most effective is going to be business cards, honestly. You hand them out to people you know, they hand them out to people they know. It's kind of an easy thing. There's also, passing out flyers. We have, for special events, we have sign holders that stand on the corners. We do a little bit of chalk art drawing in major walk areas in the city, that sort of thing. Flyers on cars, that sort of thing. And I'm going to do some videos later that will outline some of these more. But you get the idea. A lot of these, what they require is person-to-person contact. And when you have a person-to-person contact in these, it becomes almost a social contract. You have someone that looks you in the eye and says, here, take this. This is, awesome or whatever. And at that point, the moment you've looked them in the eye, you feel obligated to take it. And that is what we're doing there. And when you take it, you look at it. Most people don't crumple it up and throw it away. They stop, they take some time, they look at it, you get your impression. They may throw it away later, but it sticks a little bit better than just hearing background noise on a radio or fast forwarding through something on the television or just, scanning the newspaper or even just seeing something while driving. You need something that either is so out there that it sticks out and pops, like, chalk art that isn't supposed to be there, someone standing on a corner in a costume, something like that, or it needs to be person to person. Once you get that, that's where your impressions come from, and it makes them start thinking a little bit more. Again, this is Katie with Yuma Territorial Promotions, and that was a quick snippet on guerrilla marketing and why you need it.